Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Revell 1/48 scale JU 87G-1 Stuka build. And the last time we worked on this, we cemented our pilot and our gunner into position here. And we did something else. I can't remember. It's been so long. It's been a busy winter. Anyways, I mentioned that I liked the way the pilot and the gunner turned out, except that the white for the belts was a little too bright. It looked a little too new to me. I went ahead and get a zoom in here. Did a little bit of a brown panel wash on them, where the yellow is and where the belts are, just to dirty those belts, the seat belts up a little bit, so they weren't so sparkling new white. And I like the look of that a lot better. It looks a little more realistic than the way it was, and it also brought out some of the, I didn't know if you noticed but the yellow vest where it's got the ridges, it brought that out a little bit too. So in this video, it's time to put the pilot and the gunner and the interior part inside the plane, put our instrument panel on, and our propeller and radiator piece, and we're going to close up this fuselage. Try to get a close-up. I did the window maker, clear parts maker, and window sealant. I did that on the gauges, all the big gauges on there, and I'm going to try to, you can kind of see it reflecting there. Give it a little bit of a glass lens appearance to it. I was very happy with the way that turned out. And I also painted the red and actually the yellow's right there and the red knob's right there. It's really hard to see because it's super small detail. Actually, my phone's focusing pretty decent. You can see about every line in my hand. Anyway, enough about that stuff. We need to get this sealed up so we can get this plane primed. And I want to start with the instrument panel. And I'm actually going to use the Gorilla Super Glue CA glue. And because I don't want that to fall out. Because if it falls out, it's not going to be a good thing. It's going to be a rattly mess in there, just laying on the pilot's lap. I did go ahead and where it needs to be glued down, I scraped the paint off there, and I scraped the back of the instrument panel itself so that the glue would bond good. Oh, and another thing I did, I had to have that yellow line that I saw online, so I painted that on. Tried to paint it with a toothpick and it just did not work very well, so I ended up brush painting it. I had to touch up a little bit of the gray, and then I also dirtied it up a little bit so it wasn't a really bright yellow, so it kind of looks like it's dirty with the rest of the plane actually. But I did get that detail in. I told myself that had to be there. I don't know, something about it. I saw it when I was looking online and like, that is neat. It's all, everything's dark. It's either black boxes or whatever, or the dark German gray. I want to add a little bit of bright color to it. So I'm going to put a little CA glue on my little cardstock palette there. And we are going to do the one side of this and get it glued on. I think I'll actually apply the glue to the fuselage half itself. And it shows in the instructions to glue it onto this side first. So that's where the arrows are pointing, I guess. That's what I'm gonna do. Try to get this so you can see something. Get that nice and glued on there. Put that up further so I don't stick my sleeve into it. But if you do get this kit, I decided to paint it, dry brush it, and then add the lens detail and everything. They do supply a decal with the kit. They do not recommend that you it's a water slide decal, but they do not recommend that you do the water with it. They say just take some PVA glue with it still stuck on the card back, but the detail wasn't. Once this dries here for a second, I'll do comparison time for you. There we go. Make sure that I'm getting this on straight. Yeah, that looks all right. Try to do a focus there. But the decal, I'm sure I put it back in the box here. What did I do with the decals? Well, that's no good. How am I to show everybody if I don't have a decal? I put it down here. Huh. I'm not sure what I did with that actually. But anyways, it's when I do find it, I'll show you guys. I'm surprised I did not throw it back in the box. It seems, oh, maybe it's down here with these. There they are. I got it with my other decals. So it's not bad. It looks like an instrument panel, but the that's what it is. It does have needles, I guess. But I wanted it to be the German gray for the instrument panel is the reason why I did it the way I did it. And then I figured dry brushing the detail would give it that look that I was going for. So that versus that. And I try to sit on the box as I sit back down. Better put that away before I break it. So that should have gave that plenty of time to... Oh yeah, that'll work good. I'm going to test fit this to make sure that both sides are going to line up good with that. I believe it will. Yeah, that don't look bad at all. There we go. So now, we'll just pop that off. Now we have to get the The contact points on here, when I dry fit it, I thought maybe I'd have to scrape this part off and then this in there, but I didn't want to lose my paint and where that was, and I didn't want to scratch that. But the majority of the contact point is actually these four corners onto the bottom here. So I'm gonna use the same glue, actually, the CA, and I'm going to get that glued in. And I'll need to get more. The Tamiya thin set, I really like that glue, and it works great for bonding things, but I don't like to use it over stuff that I've already painted before. That's just my preference, I guess. So we got some there, we'll get some on the other side. Right here. Get some around that peg there. I'm actually going to put some on the bottom leading edge, even though I didn't scrape the paint off. The fuselage side. I like to use a toothpick. It gives me better control over it. And then we will just have to line this up here. I'll probably have to do it this way. There we go. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. Push that down there, and that should be fine there. But I will make sure. Yeah, that actually sat down pretty good. And as you can see, you can still see the right along the bottom there, the little yellow wire detail that I was so happy about. And there we go. It's hard for me to tell sometimes because my light is so bright. Maybe I should turn that down a little bit. It actually is better with a brighter. So there, we got our pilot and our gunner and the cockpit floor and everything in. And our instrument panel. The next step, according to the instructions, is to put our propeller and our little radiator shroud area. And it's got these two pins here that plug into those two holes right there. It's a nice tight fit. I already dry fitted it. I decided, just so there was less friction, I did prime this part here, and I primed the propeller and everything, and I noticed you'll see some chips on there. I plan on priming the whole model again, but I did this because I wanted the radiator part primed. But there was some flash here that I cleaned up, and that's why there's some chips here from me cleaning that. And I am also going to use the CA glue to glue that on. I'll just put some CA in the holes there. We don't want to glue right here because we want our propeller to spin. There's some of that. But I do plan on using the Tamiya thin set to glue the fuselage halves together because it melts it nice and gives it a kind of welds it. So, and I was happy with the when I dry fitted everything, the fact that I don't know that there's going to be a lot of putty in this one. The P40 build I did, boy, there was a lot of putty in that. Toward the, it was a lot of putty. This one seems to have better fit. I'm gonna get a little bit more because I want to put some on the side of our radiator support piece. And being it's pegged, I doubt that it would come loose. It's, like I said, a nice tight fit. I want to make sure that I get plenty of glue and everything. And I'll just get some on the side here where the pins are. Go along this whole edge. And I thought about painting it before I'll show you here in a minute. Let's just get that into place here. It's a nice tight fit. But it looked like there'd be easy access. And since I didn't get any paint in this part, I just painted the German gray in the inside. I'm gonna actually spray the radiator first in a flat black. I think that's what the directions say to paint it as. Whatever they say to paint this as. I was gonna just airbrush it through the hole there. Everything seems to be nice and tight now. I'll just let that set up a little bit. And then we'll join the halves together. And it's starting to look like a plane. I'll probably end up doing. Yeah, see that? Little bit of puttying probably, but if you've seen my P40 video, the gaps, especially because the front of the P40 was a separate piece, the nose was. You put the spinner and the propeller into the front part, and then you glued that to the front, like where this joint is on the P40. I had to putty that whole, all the way around it because it was so it was not it didn't join up right. It was a lot of gaps. But this one here, as you can see, I think with the glue it's going to fill in the majority of it. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of puttying. But you can see there, I'll just end up spraying in there with the airbrush. I think that'll be just fine. Let's pull this apart because I would like to, oh, maybe kind of pushed it into place and now everything's kind of settled. There we go. Gently. I am actually going to get some CA glue in these corners again. I'll CA here and then put some CA in here because I want that all to be solid. And then once we got it together, we'll take the Tamiya thin set and seal it up. But they're both Revells, the P40 and this one, but maybe that's an older tool. for the P40, and this is a newer tool because the fitment's a lot better in this one. Just put plenty of glue there so we don't have to, hopefully won't have to open that again. Well, let's start with this part. Gonna put it on pretty wet actually, because I want to have plenty of time to get them halves together before it dries. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. We got that. We want to put that on this part. It's amazing how many times I gotta stop and think in my head, you gotta keep this in front of the camera so people can see what you're doing. I'll get better at it someday. I am working on getting a monitor, so all I'll have to do is look up and I can see that I'm in focus, and those will be better times. So now we got that. Let's get them joined together again before this dries. Like that. And we still got the spinning. It's a lot tighter than the P40s too, but it's a little different setup. Excellent. I'm going to move this out of the way. Again, I'm clumsy. I don't want to get my arm in it. And we'll put that away and get out the Tamiya thin set, and let's get this thing sealed up. Start with the front here, and hopefully I don't get it so that it make sure I don't well, I'm being super cautious tonight. There we go. Got to get some glue in there. Didn't want to seal my propeller. Yeah, it's gonna be... I might even just prime it to see if it looks alright. Very happy with the fit. Around, we'll get this underside of the front. Maybe not that much glue. Again, caution. And we'll just work our way back. Somehow I must have got a little bit of that German gray on there. Yeah, it's coming off. That had a little bit of overspray, it looks like. There we go. And I got the top all the way to the pilot, so my tail surface is lined up. I think I'll go to the very back and just make sure that they are. Yeah, you'll want to do that because to make sure these pins are aligned, you got to do a little bit of adjusting. I don't know if you noticed that. So I'm kind of glad I skipped to the back here. Otherwise that probably would not have been straight. This is very exciting. Okay, so that back's where it needs to be. I'm gonna probably start with the top here. And we'll go toward the back. I can see there's going to need to be some sanding right there, but for the most part, the fit is pretty darn good. At least on my model. And a little bit on the top. And I can see a little bit on the front there. And I don't know if paint might even, primer and paint might even fill that. Feels pretty decent, but I am not going to complain about the fit on this one. Now I need to turn it upside down and finish the bottom. Yeah, a little bit right there, but one thing I don't have is the scribing tools to rescribe the panel lines. That's something on my wish list to get. I think with the P40 I just used my I think I just kind of scribed it with one of these is all. And I didn't do get too in depth with it either. Just enough to make it look good. And the wheel. P40 had a movable wheel. This one doesn't. But there we go. Put that off to there. 30 minutes right now. We're still spinning, so that's a good thing. I didn't glue it. Didn't make that inoperable. But yeah, we'll give you a close-up here. We got the radiator there. And we got our pilot and our gunner inside. Our instrument. And you can see the yellow wire. Not going to guarantee it when the canopy goes on, but we'll know it's there. So I think we'll call that a video since we're at a half hour. And the next time you see this, we are going to be installing the wings. Wings and tail surfaces and the landing gear. I did just go ahead and put my landing gear on the P40. And this one has the wheel pants or whatever you call it that go over the wheel, so those will be painted the body color, or the fuselage color, excuse me. It doesn't show putting the tail surfaces on for, there they are. Yeah, that's right, it's got the little support pieces that go on there. But there we have it. The Stuka is starting to look like a Stuka. Just set you down there for right now. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. We'll see you guys next time.